Welcome to Limitless Sports, episode number 4. Brennan and I are back this morning recording our next episode, and hopefully we can provide you with some great content as we move forward into this new year of 2022. So, we're going to recap from last week, how we did on our quick picks. Brennan, how'd you do last week?
Dave, I went 13-3 overall. Every game I lost. Field goal game. Kansas City lost on a last-second field goal. Dallas, last-second field goal. Actually, no, sorry, they lost by 3. And the Raiders ended up beating Indianapolis on a field goal, I think, with a couple minutes left. So, overall, an outstanding week for myself. How'd you do?
I went 10-6. I took some chances though, so I wasn't really upset. I wanted to see if I could get some upset victories and didn't, so we're going to move on for the week. But today we're going to talk about our preview for the championship game of the college football playoff. We each took 2 NFL games. We're going to do some quick picks, and we're going to recap the Steelers game. As we talked last week, that our episode was Thank You 7, and we could talk about that emotional game on Monday night. So let's get into the championship game for the college football playoff. I have 3 big things that I want to talk about first, and then we'll talk about individual stuff. So my questions to you, Brennan, are 1. Here we go. Number 1. Can Stetson Bennett throw like he did in the semifinals against Alabama? Yes or no?
You see, you look at this Alabama defense, and it isn't what we normally get, from Nick Saban every year. This isn't the Alabama defense we expect to see. It's very different than years past. Their secondary, they're a little more suspect than usual. The front 7, though, is as good as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
Next year they're talking about linebacker Anderson being a Heisman finalist potentially.
He doesn't leave this year?
No.
Oh, wow.
He's staying. I just read it on my phone before you got there.
Crazy.
So,
that's my question. Can he do it?
If he can throw half of what he did, half as good as what he did against Michigan's defense, and Michigan has NFL talent on the board. There's nothing to knock about Michigan. Then I think they'll be successful throwing the football.
Here's where I think that's going to be a crazy aspect of this game. You've got a Georgia offensive line that nobody talked about before the semifinal game. Not really. I mean, they were just, pretty good, but they shut down that pass rush from Michigan. Can they shut Will Anderson down? I don't know. And that's what I think is going to be the most contributing factor if Georgia wins this game. They've got to produce offensively. I know they can handle them defensively. I mean, last time they scored 24, but all right, that's question 1. Question 2. Can Alabama's running game succeed against Georgia's front 4? Yes or no?
Again, this is, the running game, Nick Saban, that's our bread and butter usually. You talk about running backs past Alabama, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
This isn't the same thing. This is an air it out. We're going to throw it all over the yard about 30 to 50 times a game.
And that's where I see is like Alabama's run game is ground and pound. They're not, even this kid, I mean, James Robinson's a good running back. But Alabama never has a running back that has breakaway speed. They will beat you inside the tackles. So I wonder, can Saban stretch the game out a little bit? Can he get to the outside? Because you look at Michigan struggled inside the tackles.
I'm looking at the stats right now from the semifinal game against Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl. I mean, Young didn't throw it as not much as he usually does. He threw 28 times, 181 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So when they did throw, it's not that they weren't unsuccessful.
Short yardages. They didn't get the big plays.
They didn't do what they've done all year. Throwing it down the field to Jameson Williams and bet he's out the rest of the year with the torn ACL. So, I mean, we're going to see, but Robinson from Bama, 26 carries, 204. If
but
they get half that.
They have to get at least half that. I agree. All right, question 4. I'm sorry, 3. Jeez. How can Alabama get Jameson Williams open without Mechie?
Oh, you just said that they have to run the football.
They have to.
They have to set up play action. Latu, the tight end, get him involved more. Like I just said before we came on the air. I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and targeted him 5 times on their opening drive.
Who, Latu?
Yes.
They have to. Because Jameson Williams is a phenomenal receiver. I know he was a little banged up in the semis, but he was put on notice that he can run the short routes, but his strength is the deep ball and getting open on a go route. And if I'm Georgia, I'm playing two safeties deep the whole game and just shutting that down. Go dink and dive, bend not break, keep the big play away.
I mean, you talk about, about Alabama's passing game. What are they going to do? Georgia really doesn't have that number one receiver. Pickens was hurt.
Yeah, Pickens is not that great.
Brock Bowers is their only go-to guy.
Phenomenal.
First round pick one day.
Mm-hmm.
One day. If it's not next year, the year after, definitely. I mean, 846 yards from him here, 12 touchdowns. Really came on later in the season.
Right. All right, so let's talk Alabama as the underdog.
It's not what you want to see if you're
no.
Georgia.
Saban hates the underdog. Well, he hates it in a way that it makes him upset and frustrated. But they're giving Georgia 2.5 points, I think is what I saw this morning.
Yes, it's been fluctuating all week. I've been checking it out every day when I've been working on my notes. I've seen it from 2 to 2.5 to 3 to up to 3.5, and that's it. It's not budging.
But here's the question.
Vegas is licking their chops to this game.
Well, when you look at this one, though, the over-under is 52.
Yes. So they're thinking it's going to be
which I don't understand. Here's why.
24-21 kind of game, lower scoring.
Last time, it was 41,
racked up
41 and 24 on Georgia. Again, this is the one that I don't know if I would touch, but let's recap their last matchup. It's like we just talked about. Bama won 41-24. Georgia started off hot.
Georgia went up 10-0.
10-0.
And from us watching games over the years together and stuff, since Alabama's been on this streak for the past almost a decade now, there's almost turning points in the game where you just know, they won. I don't care if it's the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they went up 14-10 on Georgia,
it was over.
I looked at my wife when we were watching the game. I said, this game is over. And she was like, there's half a quarter and a whole other half to go. I'm like, this game is over.
Well, because here's what's crazy. And I don't remember the exact scoring margin, but I looked this up and so Georgia started 10-0. Their 14 points came on a pick six and an immediate next possession touchdown. So they rode the momentum on that. They had nothing the rest of the game. I think at that point it was like 38-24, I think. But, like we said, look at the way they beat Georgia the first time. Bryce Young for 421, 3 scores.
Then mind, they only had Mechie for half the first half, unless he got hurt early in the second quarter.
Right.
So, I'm not worried about that number 2 wide receiver as much as most. They still have other weapons, but
because you take his production out of that game. Even in that first half, he had 6 catches for 97 and a touchdown. Jameson had 7 catches, 182 and a touchdown. But I want to say his stats are.
Young lit up the Dogs' defense in the SEC title games. 421 in the air, 3 scores.
But I'm thinking though, looking at that stats, I feel like Jameson went deep on one play and he got like 80 yards off of one of them. So that's the question: can you limit the deep ball that Alabama wants to throw? If you can, then I think Georgia has a chance.
Well, that's like I said. This isn't something we've seen before from Alabama, relying on the big play offense.
Well,
they have big plays, but we're talking 50, 60, 80-yard bombs.
Well, tell me the last, like we said, Alabama's pedigree, is ground and pound, air it out when you have to, and play defense.
Nick Saban could be content throwing the ball 15 times a game.
Right. And and prior to 2017, 2018, his biggest receivers that came through, you got Julio Jones, but he didn't have a huge college career. Amari Cooper didn't have a big college career. Who? Calvin Ridley. He has big names, but the last couple,
Jerry Jeudy.
He's recruited those receivers in the last couple of years.
His NFL career is now over.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like his philosophy has changed in the last 3 years comparative to everything else.
And it's amazing because Nick Saban's what, 70?
Something like that.
He's evolving as the game's evolving.
Correct. He's not staying with his same.
When a lot of people say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh, he can.
You can. And you saw it with some other coaches, too, that were older.
Mm-hmm. I picked 5 players to watch for each team. And I'm going to let you talk. That's all I have, and then let you fill out whatever you want to talk about. Here's my 5 players to watch on Alabama. Of course, number 1, Bryce Young. 2, James Robinson. Can he have a good game on the ground? 3, Jameson Williams. That's their big 3 on offense. Those 3 have to control the offensive game plan. 2 players on defense, Will Anderson, Jordan Battle. Safety. Phenomenal kid. I think he's got to have a big game limiting what Brock Bowers can do across the middle. Here's my 5 players to watch on Georgia's defense, or on Georgia. I went more offensively because I know what Georgia's defense can do. These 4 players offensively have to have a good game. Number 1, Stetson Bennett. 2, James Cook, their running back. Not that great.
He's good. He's not as good as his older brother, but he's good.
No, he's not. I think James Robinson from Alabama is better than him. Mm-hmm. But he's got to have a good game. He's got to get at least 75 yards on the ground. Like we said earlier, number 3, George Pickens. Not that big of a receiving talent, not that big of a name lately, but he's got to come through. Brock Bowers, number 4, freshman tight end's got to come through like he's been coming through. Keep producing, get your 100 yards, get your couple catches. Right. And Jordan Davis. I think Jordan Davis, the only reason he's getting the limelight that he's getting is because he's 360 pounds. Look at his stats. He's only had like 23, 24 tackles, 2 sacks. But I look at him as like a former, like, huge nose tackle of the likes of, Dylan Swolefork, Casey Hampton, the big guys that just plug the middle. They may not be making the plays, but they're plugging the middle. So those are my 5 on each team. What else you got in this game?
I mean, we're talking about, we're worried about Alabama, and everyone's saying, Georgia came out and steamrolled Michigan, and that was
they did
the game to watch. But let's talk about Alabama for a minute in their semifinals ever. We've seen this before. Manila game plan against Washington, Michigan State. That one, Clemson, that one year they played in the semifinals. Manila game plan.
Look against their Manila game plan against Auburn this year. I mean, they didn't want to show Georgia.
And you know what? I wouldn't be shocked Monday night if they came out and just dogged them. I wouldn't be shocked. And they did a complete 360, a new game plan. But these teams are very comparable. Points per game, Georgia 39, Alabama 41.1. Points allowed per game, Georgia 9.5, Alabama only 20. Total yards a game, 448 for Georgia, 495 for Alabama. This is gonna be low scoring.
You think?
I'm with the 52 over under.
See, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at Alabama's last, their entire games this season. Like you talked about their game points per game, but let's take out the cupcake games. So they had Miami ranked high at the first. They put up 44 on them. I don't count Mercer because you shouldn't play those teams during the season. Alabama, Florida. Florida was a great team early on. They just fell off. 31.
As soon as they lost that game, Georgia
they were
down the twos.
Yep. Bama put up 42 on Ole Miss.
Close game.
21 points. 38 points when they lost to A&M. 49 on Mississippi State. 52 on Tennessee. Only 20 against LSU, but that was a weird game. It was weird.
Rivalry. Was that on the road? Was that in Baton Rouge?
No, that was home. It was just weird. They Baton Rouge. Yeah, they came in.
Game.
Well, then you look at the other ones. I mean, they put up 42 on Arkansas. The 7 points. Mm-hmm. The 4 overtime doozer to Auburn. Then they put 24. So.
What was it? 27 on Cincinnati.
27 on Cincinnati. You look at the games that he just doesn't he throws the vanilla game plan on there. He's scoring 24 points.
But see, if you
I think he can put up 35.
Box score and everything from that semifinal game, they steamrolled Cincinnati.
On the ground.
They just didn't come out and just show it. I mean,
yeah.
Young didn't have to throw for, 400 yards. He still threw 3 TDs.
Well, look at it this way. So, first play, 75 yards, touchdown. The next possession, 13 plays, 67 yards, field goal. Then they went 3 and out. and they missed a field goal. 12 plays, 65 yards. So if you take that and you give that 3 points right there, that's 13-3. Then they scored another touchdown. They went 8 plays, 94 yards, 17-3. Then they came out and punt, interception. Then they finally went and scored a touchdown with 9 plays, 70 yards. Then they went down and scored another field goal. And then they had one more drive at the end of the game. Like, there weren't a lot of quick drives in this. 5 minutes Cincinnati, 2 minutes.
Like
Yeah.
Like, oh, they didn't impress me. They didn't impress me. Like Travis Kelce was ripping Alabama. They didn't impress me. They don't have to impress you.
Gotta win.
As long as that scoreboard
Has Alabama on top.
has Alabama on top, that's all that matters.
Yep.
And that's all that Nick Saban cares about.
Correct.
And those guys on that team, that's all they care about. They don't have to go out there and, win by 30 like we're used to seeing against, lesser teams. And, Cincinnati, you are a lesser team. You didn't deserve to be there.
But we'll see. All right. Give me your pick.
Like I said, there's a lot of things I like about both these teams. Georgia's defense has been outstanding all year long. I think everyone kind of wrote them off after that SEC title game. What was it, the weekend after Thanksgiving? But you look at the Tide, they've been pretty sound all season. This isn't the typical Nick Saban team we're used to seeing. They aren't a ground and pound team like years past. Like I said, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. This is an air out team. They like to throw on every down. They also don't play as good defensively as we're used to seeing, but they're still forcing turnovers. Give me the Tide. 31-24. Slight over.
Yeah, slight over. I've been going back and forth, and as I'm sitting here, trying to see what's on the news lately, here's a wrinkle to the plan, I think, for Alabama. Who's their offensive coordinator?
Billy O'Brien. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Fox Sports NFL tweeted yesterday, the Jaguars plan to interview former Texans coach Bill O'Brien for their head coaching job next week. Is he really thinking about this game?
We'll get into that. I don't think he's for the job. I think they're interviewing him.
But I think his mind's elsewhere. Here's what I'm going to talk about.
If that's the case, I think Nick Saban would say, just don't come. Don't be in Indianapolis Monday night.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. Give me Georgia 38-35. Shootout. I think I might take the over if I take anything in this game. I don't want to touch the spread because it's just too close.
No,
that's a coin flip.
I took the slight over. I said it was going to be lower scoring.
Yeah, it's just a coin flip. All right. Let's go into our quick picks. We're going to break things up a little bit in the show today for the NFL. This week's going to be a weird week because you got to really look at the storylines of who's playing, who's not playing this Week 18 game. And, a lot of the playoff spots are decided if you're in the show. Your seeds are not decided. So some teams are going to say they want to play for the seed. They don't want to play for the seed. All right. Got 2 games today, actually. Chiefs, Broncos, and Cowboys, Eagles. What do you got, Chiefs, Broncos?
Chiefs are still playing for the number 1 seed. Still a good team. Probably the Super Bowl favorite. Give me KC.
I took KC as well. All right. Cowboys, Eagles. We're going to talk more about this game later because I'm going to preview this one. Who do you got?
Eagles are locked into the 6-7 spot. Dallas doesn't really matter. They're going to host a wild card game. This game's at Philadelphia. I got news this morning. More Dallas players aren't playing. Give me Philadelphia in Philadelphia.
All right. I'm going to take the Cowboys. We'll talk about why later. All right. Browns, Bengals. You know what's crazy about this one? The Browns are a 6-point favorite right now.
Joe Burrow's not playing.
Mixon's not. He's got COVID. But Baker Mayfield's not playing either.
I mean, they have the comparable backup. The guy you really want on your team in case
Correct.
Win games. Took the Vikings all the way to the NFC Championship game a few years ago.
Yep.
Lost to Philadelphia.
Who you got?
The Browns are beat up and overrated. I'm still going to take Cincinnati.
I'm taking the Browns. I think Browns showed some light last week. the question is going to be if Nick Chubb will actually get the ball. But all right, Packers Lions.
Come on. Come on.
I heard Aaron Rodgers wants to play in the game. He said, "I'm not sitting out, coach." All right, I'll take Packers.
Packers big.
Bears Vikings in Minnesota. This changes the game plan a little bit.
Bears will still have a lot of big holes. Vikings really aren't a bad team. Lost a lot of one-score games. Give me the Vikings.
I'm going to take the Bears only because the Vikings don't really have anything to play for anymore. I think they're done. The Bears are playing for their coach if he comes back next year. Football team versus the Giants. I'm interested. We'll talk about this in February. If the Giants if the football team, what their new name's going to be, and that's going to be an interesting story and their uniform design. But
I'm sure I'll show on that one.
Oh yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
Giants stink. Give me Washington.
You said Giants. Give me Washington.
Giants stink. Give me Washington.
Oh, Giants stink. Yeah, give me Washington as well. All right, Jags Colts. Don't get into it. Let's just pick it.
Colts are hot. Indy big.
The clown show's coming to Jacksonville. The Steelers are going to go to the playoffs. Roll Jaguars.
Dave, you pick with your heart too much.
I do. Steelers Ravens. Big Ben's last game.
Baltimore is beat up and hurt. Ben and the Steelers are in a close one to end his Hall of Fame career. Steelers in a close one.
And Deontay's back of COVID. I think he's the fastest player that ever survived COVID in 2 days. Give me the Steelers as well. Titans Texans.
Titans.
They're playing everybody.
I haven't heard they're playing for the number 1 seed.
And Derek's not playing yet, but he'll be back next week.
I don't think Henry's playing.
He practiced this week.
He practiced. He's going full on speed.
It's nuts.
When Henry gets back,
look out.
Mm-hmm.
Titans over the Texans. Yep. Falcons Saints.
Wait, who do you take in Tennessee?
Titans. Yeah, 100%. Deshaun Watson's playing. Different story for the Texans, but
New Orleans, Atlanta. Both these teams are just so bad, but Saints in the close one.
I'm going to take the Falcons on an upset. I don't think the Saints are that good.
Saints are playing for a playoff spot. San Fran can get eliminated. I don't think they've clinched yet.
Yeah, San Fran's overrated too. Bills Jets.
Bills are hot at the right time. Jets are just a mess of a franchise. They don't have the right head coach. You know, everyone was hyping up Robert Saleh. The Bills big.
Bills big in that one as well. Rams 49ers.
San Fran was just a letdown all year. I mean, Rams are still playing for a division title.
Which is sad because San Fran has a good defense. I don't get it.
They just don't have a quarterback. You know, I think next year when they play Trey Lance, I think they'll be okay.
We'll see.
Bills are hot. San Fran was just a letdown. Rams are playing for the division title still. Give me the Rams.
Give me the Rams as well. All right, Pats Dolphins. We'll talk about more of this. I'm breaking this game down later, but
Patriots struggle in Miami. And they're already locked into the postseason. They can still win the division. Patriots in the close one.
Dolphins are going for the third in a row. I'm still taking the Pats though. Cards Seahawks. J.J. Watt got let go off the injured reserve. He's coming back for playoffs.
I saw. Seattle's been down and out. Wilson wants out. Arizona can win the division. And the Cards.
Cards is a big one too. Bucks Panthers. I think we can all say the Bucks are going to win that game.
Tampa.
Yeah. Last one, Sunday night game. I think this will actually be a good game.
I'm actually previewing this game today.
Steelers are praying for not a tie. I guess the coach of the Chargers came out and said, we're not going to play for a tie, but I'm going to take the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a better team. I don't think the Raiders are that good. I think they've just been getting by and winning games, but Herbert, if he plays well.
The Raiders are good. They're just not great.
Correct. Where's the game at?
This game's at Las Vegas.
Indoors. I mean, both games are indoors. But
indoors, you know.
Yeah.
This game is tough to pick. Justin Herbert's one of my favorite players. That guy is a real one, to say the least. Bolts in the postseason.
Yep. Okay. We're going to break down 2 games each. I have Pats Dolphins and Cowboys Eagles. What do you have again?
I took the Niners and the Rams and the Chargers and the Raiders. I took all the California teams.
Okay, so let's go in order of time of game. So I think I'm going to do my 2 then first because I think your one's Sunday night. You have 4:05?
I took the Chargers and the Raiders, which is the 8:30.
That's what I'm saying. You have 8:30 and 4:05, or?
And I have 4:25. You're
all right.
4:20. Every game we took was 4:25.
Well, I have mine today.
That's right. You took Dallas and Philadelphia.
Oh, I didn't realize the page. Okay, so I'll go first, then you do your Rams game, then I'll go back to the Patriots, and then we'll finish up. All right. So, like you said earlier, Cowboys Eagles. I'm calling this the COVID game. Here's why. I'm going to list you the players that the Dallas has out currently. And this is just according to ESPN, whether they're out for COVID, injury, etc. Micah Parsons, Jaron Kearse, Travion Diggs, Tony Pollard, Anthony Brown, Tyron Smith, starting left tackle, Josh Ball, another tackle, and Michael Gallup tore his ACL or MCL or something. Their secondary is missing 3 starters. Okay. Eagles. I don't know how they're staying afloat. Their first, second, and third string running back are out this week. Starting tight end Dallas Goedert, or how you pronounce his name, out. Right guard Nate Herberg, out. Left guard Landon Dickerson's questionable. Right tackle Lane Johnson's questionable. Fletcher Cox, out. 2 starting linebackers, out. 2 starting secondary members, out. Do they have enough players to play today? Like for both teams? That's my question.
Both these teams are already going to the postseason. I don't think the seeding really matters, unless for that one seed, in each conference. I'm taking the Eagles. I mean, the only reason I think they're staying afloat is Jalen Hurts can run just as well as he throws. We saw that in his Alabama and Oklahoma days.
Right. This is what I'm going to talk about. So, Dallas' defense is ravaged by injuries and COVID. But when you look at Philadelphia's offense, other than Jalen Hurts, Mr. Do-It-All, who else do they really have? They got Devonta Smith. They don't have a running game with all these guys out.
They wasted that first-round pick on Jalen Rager a few years ago.
Right. They don't have anything offensively. He's doing everything by himself. With Micah Parsons out, he'll be able to run a little bit better. I don't know. Then you look on the other side of the ball, the Dallas. Their game has always been their offensive line. Zeke's been spelled a lot this year by Tony Pollard. He doesn't have him today. Last time Zeke had a big game with 95 yards and 2 scores, Dustin Schultz had another 2-touchdown game as well from the tight end for the Dallas. They won 41-21 in their first matchup. 5 players to watch today are definitely Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, and then Dak, Zeke, and Amari Cooper. Can Amari still produce without Gallup in the lineup? Can they both make adjustments based off of COVID? I don't know. Like you said, what are they really playing for? They're just playing for seed position. I don't think they can really change that much either.
I'm surprised this is the lowest scoring game.
Agreed. So, like I said earlier, I am definitely still taking the Cowboys over the Eagles. I think they have more offensive weapons that are playing today. They are, I believe, playing this game in Philadelphia. Dallas is favored by 4 points. Let's check the weather though. Like, is it gonna rain or snow in Philly tonight? That's the question. Let's see. Philadelphia, PA, winter weather advisory tomorrow. So they escaped that. So it'll be a dry night, very cold, 24 degrees at kickoff. But
that's tonight.
So we'll see. But yeah, still giving the Cowboys. So there's your preview on the Cowboys Eagles. What do you got for your first game?
So I took the 49ers and the Rams for my first game when we were talking during the week and saying, what games we wanted to cover. Both these teams at the beginning of the year had high aspirations, San Francisco just got bit with the injury bug pretty bad on offense. They're not running the football as they usually do.
The one player I thought would have had a good year for them, Trey Sermon.
Oh, yeah, I drafted him in my fantasy draft.
I just thought he was going to come on long, and then nothing. He's been hurt, though.
I mean, George Kittle's been hurt on and off all year. Either, he's out there, you notice him, he's lighting it up, or he's laying an egg. The Rams, talk about going all in. Trading for All-Pro, first ballot Hall of Famer, Von Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Signing Odell Beckham Jr. after Woods goes down, when they really didn't even need him. They started with Jefferson.
Well, they signed him, then Woods went down, I thought.
No, it was the other way around.
Was it the other way around?
It was like a week before or something. I can't remember the exact
It was close timing.
Matthew Stafford. Well, let's talk about him for a second. Takes Detroit to the playoffs twice. Just a mess of a franchise over the past, 30 years or longer.
Right.
Takes him to the playoffs twice, never wins a game. Comes to Los Angeles. He's in the MVP talk. He's thrown, I think, 40 touchdowns this year, or 38, I can't remember. Cooper Kupp, 1,800 yards.
Cooper Kupp, man, phenomenal receiver.
Scores. Now is, I'm saying the best receiver in the NFL. Go-to guy.
I wouldn't say that yet.
They're down. Where's the ball going? It's going to him he's not a big guy. The Rams are a threat to anyone in the NFC in the postseason, and we're going to get into Super Bowl picks next week. I'm going to record, but San Francisco up and down, roller coaster all year. They're good. They're not good.
You know what's crazy,
Who
though?
is this team?
With the Rams last week against the Ravens should have won that game.
You know what? Good teams find ways to win games.
They do.
Like that.
They do. You're right.
Not Shanahan. McVay is very underrated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he went to a Super Bowl already. Lost a close one to New England in a low-scoring game. San Fran's defense is a staple of what they're doing. Deebo Samuel has been one of the league's best all season while dealing with injuries all year. Kittle has been a hit or miss all year. When he's in, he looks good. When some games he just looks awful. Oh, this was tough for me because the Rams are playing for division titles still, so they really can't rest guys. They have no one on the injury report as of right now. I'm looking on my desktop. Rams, close one, 28-24, sandwich game.
I took the Rams as well. We'll see what happens. All right. I've got Patriots-Dolphins. So, just a couple big storylines more than players to watch. Dolphins, I didn't know this, are going for their third consecutive win against the Patriots, which is crazy in my mind, but they won this year. So, we'll talk about that in a second. Patriots, though, their playoff spot is such a determining factor. Are they going to be a wild card? Are they going to win the division?
They could potentially be the number one seed still.
Yeah, that's one of those scenarios out there. Long shot. But, so, opening week, they played first week of the season, which, that's hard to determine how, the season goes. You got different things. The games change.
Talk about Bill Belichick working with a rookie quarterback for the first time.
Right. It was a 17-16 win for the Dolphins. Jones actually did okay. He threw for 281 in the air. 2 of 3 for 202 and an interception. But I guess Xavier Howard made a big turnover at the end of the game to really win this game. But it was tied at halftime 10-10. Then Jalen Waddle caught a touchdown, went up 17-10. Then the Patriots just couldn't score. They kicked 2 field goals. I mean, they kicked their second field goal with 10:36 left on the clock in the fourth quarter. So, my question is, Patriots defense has been carrying this team. Mac Jones has done okay. He's been a game manager. They don't have the running backs that they used to have. They have a decent one here and there, but they're not pounding the ball.
They rotate between Harris and Stevenson.
Yeah. So, now, they carried the team last week. I mean, you played the Jaguars. They won 50-10. Picked off Trevor Lawrence 3 times. However, I still expect Jalen Waddle to have a big game. And he's going to finish, if he has one catch, with 100 receptions as a rookie. That's insane. Especially with Tua as your quarterback. He's not the best quarterback, but this kid's producing. I think the connection.
College together for a year or two.
I think you're going to see that. You're going to see that a lot. I mean, you talk about Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Thank you for my fantasy football championship last week because you two went off. But that connection, though, has seemed large lately. And I want to see, there aren't a lot of quarterbacks coming out this year that have their receivers in the league already. But I want to see if that continues to happen.
Last week I was watching the Chiefs-Bengals game, as I think you were as well. I heard them say to Joe, I guess Joe Burrow, they were talking about calling Joe Burrow maybe or whatever during the week. And I guess he went in and talked to the organization and said, hey, I'd really like you to draft this guy.
They did.
We know each other. We're good friends.
Which is insane
because I
because
didn't expect him to actually do it. I'm a first-year player. I really didn't play all last year.
And everybody was tweeting out this quote and things about Penei Sewell that was on the board at that point. I'll say right now, I was one person that said they should have drafted Sewell instead of Chase. They had enough talent. They had T. Higgins. They had Tyler Boyd. They had a third. And
now here's going to be the problem in a few years. They have 3 number 1 wide receivers on that team.
They're not going to be able to keep them all.
Joe Mixon they're going to want to pay him.
Yep. Their time is now. They've got to capitalize in the next 2 years.
I'm going to say a 3-year window.
Max. But give me the Patriots to win this game because Dolphins are coming off a horrific loss last week, 34-3.
Tennessee whooped on them.
Whooped on
Yeah,
them.
you took Miami over Tennessee.
I did. I thought that Miami had a chance. But, the Patriots, close game, 24-14. We'll see what happens next week. So, go ahead. Go on to your last game you got.
Here's one the Steelers will rely on. It can't end in a tie.
What if it,
With Brandon Staley coaching that team, the Chargers, there's no way it's going to be a tie.
what if it will end in a tie? That'd be hilarious.
Oh. Then I wouldn't be shocked. The way things are going in the NFL this year, I wouldn't be shocked and freaking off.
Nope.
But, like I said, I took the Chargers and the Raiders as last night game I'm covering this week. This is going to be a great game. Whoever wins is going to the postseason. I mean, there's no arguing that.
Which is crazy because I didn't think the Raiders are actually good enough to make it.
They'll go and they'll play whoever the 3 seed. The
2 probably.
The 2 seed will be Tennessee, Kansas City. But they're probably going to get smoked. Kansas City already smoked them twice this year, I think.
Yep.
Raiders have dealt with a lot of adversity all year long. I'm going to tip my hat to them to that.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole John Gruden scandal.
Definitely.
And then they dealt with Henry Ruggs. And this team has fought through and managed to have themselves in postseason position. The Chargers, on the other hand, were hot mid-season. They cooled off since then. They controlled their own destiny, winning that division. They have a potent offensive weapons with Eckler, Williams, Allen, Herbert. Herbert's the quarterback. The Raiders, and to get to the Raiders talk about it, Derek Carr started off the season hot.
He did.
And you know what happened? He turned back into a pumpkin.
Yep. Turned the ball over.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I think the Raiders are going to be in the market for a quarterback this offseason. They want to get Gruden's guys who hung out with Gruden and in their own time out of there. I think the Raiders have a tainted look this offseason to get rid of people and bring new guys in. But I mean, Renfro. I mean, he's carrying that team.
He is, which is surprising.
1,025 yards and 7 scores. He's finding his place in the NFL. Finally, I think if he played for a team like New England who loves players like that, he would probably win the MVP once by now.
Definitely.
The Chargers are overall a good team. The defense has finally stayed healthy all year with Bosa and James, but they're giving up 27 points a game.
Which is nuts.
So, I don't want to hear people saying, the Chargers. They're a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, you don't want to play them.
They're not there yet.
Because who knows what's going to happen. And
Eckler's a phenomenal running back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's not gonna hit his 1,000-yard mark this season unless for some reason he gets, he only has 850.
Right.
Unless he manages to go off. Justin Herbert has been nothing short but sensational. He was a big question mark out of that draft class of quarterback, and who was my favorite personally. I watched him in Oregon for a long time. They have a high-flying offense, rack up nearly 400 yards of offense a game. If this team gets into the postseason, I'd hate to play them because of how they score points, how fast.
Right.
We saw them beat the Steelers on the last-minute Hail Mary.
Oh, I'll never forget that, yeah.
You know that?
Yeah.
And that's one of those games the Steelers should have won. We wouldn't be talking about if they get into the postseason. They would be in the postseason.
Well, don't even get me started because we don't have the freaking tie to the Detroit Lions. We'd be 9-7 right now.
Dave, if ifs and buts
I know.
were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
You're right.
But I'm going to take the Chargers in this to wrap up my last game cover. I'm going to take the Chargers 31-21. I don't think it's really that close as the score indicates. I think the Raiders scored late points cheap. Make it look better.
All right.
You want to preview Steelers Raiders? You want to talk about the Browns when last week?
Nah, I want to talk about one thing right now that I just saw as I'm scrolling through. Quote on this Antonio Brown situation from last week.
Oh, my God.
Antonio Brown quoted on Tom Brady not being able to win on his own. Brady can't do blink by himself. But you guys are going to make it seem like he's just this heroic guy. Antonio Brown, I know you're not listening to this episode. Go get help. You are showing signs of early on CTE. Go get help. Please. You're a phenomenal athlete. You are
Your career's pretty much over.
messed up in the head. Well, did you see Todd Haley come out? He got hired as like that USFL.
I seen there was a handful of coaches. I saw Kevin Sumlin got hired there.
Well,
and Todd Haley was the big name.
Todd still has Antonio's number, okay? Todd texts Antonio, come play for me and win a championship in Tampa. He said something like, you can go screw yourself. But Antonio Brown, go get help.
Poor guy. I mean, had the world by the ass here in Pittsburgh. Was probably in line to be the next captain of this team when Ben retired, even though he'd be in the latter stages of his career. I've seen him post some videos these past few weeks, him congratulating Ben on a great season. I don't know if they've reconciled personally.
Did you see?
But
there was a video.
Brady can't win on his own. I mean, come on, he's turned 7th round guys or later, undrafted guys, into Super Bowl MVPs.
Did you see there was a video out there? I don't know what he was on some podcast, and he said he was talking, and he's like, "Let's give it a moment of silence for Antonio Brown being the best player in the NFL ever." And they all just stopped, and it was really awkward. But all right, let's talk about the Steelers.
You talking about the Browns game, or you want to preview this Ravens game?
Let's do both.
All right, what are we gonna do first?
Let's talk about Ben's last one in Pittsburgh. Phenomenal atmosphere.
Kind of wish I would have went.
Me too. Me too. I thought about it. You know who really stole the show though?
Najee Harris.
Najee, man, he ran hard.
Kind of gives you hope. But you know what? Ben Roethlisberger said, I listen to 93.7 Fan every day going to and from work. Ben Roethlisberger went in and told that organization, please put Hassenauer at center and put Kendrick at guard, and we'll never have to worry about pressure up the middle.
But Kendrick didn't play.
I know. I'm just saying, though.
I agree.
The guy's a natural guard.
Yes, he is.
He was in Illinois. He played center here and there when they needed him to.
Yep.
I mean,
I think the same thing. Hassenauer had a heck of a game playing center. But you look at it, though.
Who played the other guard Monday night? Because Dawson's still hurt, right?
Was it Leglue?
I can't remember. But I mean, let's just say, is Hassenauer still on the younger end of his career, isn't he? I don't know his exact age.
Yeah, he's...
You have Hassenauer,
young.
and then Green at guard, and then Dotson at guard.
Mm-hmm.
You're pretty much set up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to worry about your tackles. And Dan Moore's still a work in progress. He's a rookie. People give him a break.
I'm interested to see...
Fourth round pick?
Yeah, I'm interested to see, though, because he's doubtful.
Yeah. I have last week's game brought up on my MacBook.
He's doubtful for this week. Kendrick Green's actually out on COVID, thank God. We don't need him to play. But there was a stat out there, and I don't have it in front of me, about how many of Najee's yardages were based off of after contact. I remember when I saw it at one point.
It was huge when it was Alabama.
But it was huge. And, I really want the Steelers, and the more I've thought about this offseason, go prioritize offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Screw the quarterback.
That should be your number one concern.
Even though Mason Rudolph's terrible, take a year.
You got nothing. You have 3 quarterbacks behind Ben, one on the practice squad. You have Dobbs on the practice squad. You have Haskins, who's looking more bustish than I'd like to.
I know.
And I'd all goes on him for wanting to come out of here early.
Yep.
And then you have Rudolph, who is, if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm embarrassed. We had a first round grade on him.
Got him in the third round.
Freaking team that had a first round grade on him. I might go buy a custom number 2 jersey and put first round grade on the back of it.
I know.
It's embarrassing to hear.
I just let Najee be the focus next year.
If I'm the Steelers, you know who I'm calling first this offseason to see who wants to come in on a cheaper deal? I'm calling Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Why not?
You got to get something cheap. You cannot put a lot of money into a quarterback job this year.
Andy Dalton, another one.
Because how many million is the projected? 80 something that we're allowed to have?
I can't remember. I know it's third most. The Steelers have the third most cap to spend.
I mean, put some money in the offensive line.
All of us as Yinzers are getting our hopes up for Wilson or Rodgers or even Watson.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it's not.
No.
It's not how we read it. Minka Fitzpatrick a few years ago was rare.
Absolutely rare.
It was a white elephant. It was rare.
Yep, agreed. So, yeah, I mean, phenomenal game against the Browns.
Lower scoring, how I said. I said 24-14.
But you know what, though? It was a Steelers game of old. That defense played for Ben that game, and they played a heck of a game. I wish he would have just announced his retirement early. No, I wish he would have announced it being a season. Imagine what this team would have played for. I mean, they played for him. That's why going into this week against the Ravens with how much they're banged up, I don't see the Ravens winning the game. But you know what's crazy? I'm looking at it right now. Ravens are favored. 3.5.
I haven't checked the line lately.
3.5.
That's your typical Steelers-Ravens game line, 3 or under.
I just didn't think they would give it to the Ravens. I thought without Lamar's not playing. They don't have much of a game. I mean, holy crap. They've lost their last 5.
Baltimore?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're on a slump.
But you know what's crazy, though? 2019 lost to the Steelers. 24-22 lost to the Browns.
Yeah.
31-30 lost to the Packers.
Yeah.
They got blown up by the Bengals. 2019 lost to the Rams. 4 of their losses are within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins.
Well, that's Baltimore can still shut down the run, and I think that's what they're going to rely on here against Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
FPI only gives Pittsburgh a 42.8% chance of winning the game. Baltimore
Yeah, I didn't realize
6.8.
their rushing yards allowed 84. Think Najee can go for 100 this week?
Maybe. I think that's going to be the focal point of shutting down Harris in the running game.
I mean, he's only averaging.
Be the one more time with his arm.
You look at like the yards per game and yards versus allowed. So Steelers are averaging 329, 235 in the air, 94 on the ground. Ravens are averaging 397, 257 in the air, 139 on the ground. Given up, the Ravens actually give up more yardage. They give up 296 in the air. They don't have a lot of corners. They're all hurt and banged up. Deontay's in this game. Claypool's in this game. Freiermuth is healthy. I think Ben's going to throw a lot more and longer, I'm hoping. I mean, for God's sake, he threw for how many yards last week? 120 something? 26, 29, 30, 23 on 24 passes. That average was 2.7 yards a pass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Deontay Johnson had 8 catches for 31 yards. Claypool only had 3 catches for 17. The person that had the most average per catch was freaking Ray McCloud. He averaged 8.8 yards a catch. Disgusting. But neither here nor there.
I mean, we're missing Joe Hayden. We're even missing Kendrick Green.
Yeah.
Buggs is out.
Joe Hayden doesn't do much, though.
Joe Hayden, they're in a tricky situation with him when the season's over.
Well, he said he wants out.
I heard him say he wants out, but I heard the Steelers have asked him the past 2 years to play safety because Terrell Evans has been nothing short of.
Have they actually asked him? I thought that was you just saying that.
I've heard they've asked him.
Huh.
And he said, I'm still a corner.
He's not in a corner.
Not anymore.
I mean, you look at.
You lose a step when you hit a certain age, but.
Yeah, like, Hayden's out. Kendrick Green's out. Buddy Johnson's out, but he hasn't played anything. Buggs is out. Moore is out. I don't know.
Baltimore's missing a lot of key players, too.
That's what I'm going to pull up theirs next. Let's see.
The superstar first round of Penn State.
I saw he's out. Yeah, I saw that.
He's not out. He's doubtful. So
I see that. Okay.
He's out.
Duvernay, decent receiver. He's questionable. Another corner of theirs is out. Anthony Everett. Lamar is out. Justice Hill was a running back with an Achilles injury. He's coming. He was returned. Oh, he's on the injury reserve. Never mind. Their fullback's out. Their one safety is on the injury reserve. Their tight end Nick Boyle's out.
Hammered by injuries all year. I mean,
Hammered.
They were behind the chains before the season even started. Yeah, they didn't have a running back all year.
Oh, I can list you. I mean, let's see. On the injury reserve currently, and this is all the way back to August, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, no, 17, 18.
Jeez.
It's insane. Hats off to the Harbaugh, though, for being on manager.
Still good year. I'm really thinking, you don't come out and say this as a head coach or a player. I'm thinking Baltimore hopes they lose this game. Basically, just get eliminated, and Pittsburgh will have a slim chance. But I think Pittsburgh kind of just wants to stay at home as well.
Mm-hmm. That'll be interesting. I still think Pittsburgh wins the game, but
earlier in the year when I had my notes set up here, I actually took Baltimore because of all the players on the COVID list for the Steelers, a couple that went on and off.
Oh, but Deontay's
And they
back
all
now.
came off.
Yeah.
Steelers, close one. Your typical Ravens, Steelers score.
Mm-hmm.
21-17, 21-20 again.
Last thing I'm going to talk about today, though. Here's what I want to talk about. PIAA. I haven't told you this.
You guys get bumped back down.
We did get bumped back down officially, single A. But here's what was fishy. So, it was Tuesday. Lists come out. Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday because I had practice Tuesday night with my travel team. Tuesday morning, list came out. And like I knew originally, single A was supposed to be a very large division, 1 to 125 in girls, which is insane because usually that's the football marker. Why? Because less schools play football. So, usually because more small schools will play softball, they shrink the number down. You got, those Catholic schools that may not play football. Usually it's like 1 to 105. And it was 1 to 125 for no reason. And no one caught it for like a month. And no one said anything. I was like, okay, whatever. This is going to be huge. I mean, this conference is going to be massive. Comes out. 31 teams in single A softball. So it was like me playing in double A. Everybody from my section, Bentworth, Best Center, everybody came down except for Washington and Charleroi. They stayed up. So Charleroi was almost going to be a good spot, but all the big upper echelon 3A teams of Brownsville, McGuffey, Mount Pleasant, all those teams came down to 2A. So it was a worthless, move for them. And so I was just like, I sent the list to my buddy Donnie Hartman, and we were like, 31 teams, this is just massive, this is insane, like who knows what they're going to do. So then I leave school, drive to Cannonsburg for my travel practice. And one of my parents came to me, he said, where did you get 31 teams from? I said, from the list. Like, it was out this afternoon. It's like, no, it's like 23. It's like, what do you mean it's like 23? The PIAA changed the list in the middle of the freaking afternoon. Adjusted the classification marker that's been out for a month. It felt like the freaking 2020 presidential election of just votes changing in the middle of the day. And it was insane. They went from 125 as a cutoff to 96 or 97, which I thought it should have been originally. But why do you change that in the middle of the day? Like, it was just stupid, fishy movement from the PIAA like they always do. And we'll talk more about the whole breakdown. I'm comfortable. Only thing that sucks is Frazier's coming down with me, which they're a perennial power.
I was curious to see because, people at work, talk about high school football and some people's grandkids play or, their kids in general. Did Al Quippa get bumped up to 5A?
As of now, yes. They're going to fight it. I want to talk next week. I'm going to break every conference down. And we'll talk about some movements. I'm going to find some different things. We'll talk about our local teams in terms of soccer and football and basketball. A lot of movement, but just some fishy things from the PIAA. I mean, I don't care. I went to single A. That's all I'm happy about. We'll have to play the perennial powers, probably Fraser and West Green, but we'll see. So
next week we have a big show. We have Super Bowl picks.
Next week's going to be a very huge show. Yes. So, tune in next week. We're going to record to get ready for the playoffs next week and, get everything rocking and rolling. This is episode 4. I'm going to call this episode the Nick Saban episode. Can he go win another championship? We'll find out Monday night. For Brennan and for Dave, we hope you enjoyed today's show, and we'll see you next week, right?
Have a good weekend, Dave.
All right.